What is up, everybody? We're back with another video, and in today's video it is cold. It's freaking cold. Definitely gonna not be messing around or doing any hooligan stuff. I already tried popping a wheelie and literally my back tire just spun out. It just didn't happen. It just didn't like it. So we ain't gonna be doing none of that. And then these pants, we just got riding pants off TikTok. Don't ever buy gear off TikTok. Never. Don't just don't do it. In today's video, we're gonna be sitting in traffic. God damn. Holy shit. Talking about 5 things we absolutely love about the Triumph 675. Gotta get through this traffic court first. God dang, I ain't waiting through none of this crap. But yeah, we're gonna be doing 5 things we absolutely love about this bike. I've had this bike now for about 1,000 miles. I will be making that 1,000-mile review, and I will, well, it's about 1,500, but 1,000-mile review. And my thoughts and takes on Triumph as a brand and what this bike has done for me / given me. And yeah, so for starters, something that I absolutely love about this bike is just the way it looks. Other than the front end, I gotta get rid of the mirrors. The mirrors gotta go. So if any of y'all in the comments have a 675 and have mirror alternatives, I mean, granted, I have block offs, go with mirrors on the end of the handlebars, which I like that, but also too, I don't like having to look down. And then we got the Rizomas that like everyone and their mother runs, which I like them. It's just that I feel like on this bike, the body lines, it doesn't like fit it, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like Rizomas are more or less meant for like 636s or bikes like that that have more of like, not that this bike doesn't look aggressive, but like it's more, this has more smooth body lines. Like the 636s are more kind of like pokey, jaggedy looking, I feel like, so it kind of fits those a little bit more. I don't know, I've always thought too, like Rizoma mirrors are just kind of like, kind of trashy looking to begin with. Number 2, obviously, the way this thing sounds, baby, it just sounds beautiful. That inline 3, the sound that this thing produces with this Two Brothers shorty muffler, oh my god, it sounds amazing. It sounds gorgeous. It's great. And I guess we'll put this in there too, but the quick shifter, I mean, this bike, guys, this bike's from 2010 and it came with a quick shifter from factory. You could upgrade it and put a quick shifter on this bike. Like, as you can see, it's right down there. But that's another thing I want to say. That'll be like a 0.5, because I feel like a quick shifter is not that big of a deal. I mean, I know for some people it is. I know for me it was, like, having a quick shifter, big thing. I know a lot of bikes nowadays are coming with quick shifters as standard, but I mean, guys, for 2010, like, that's unheard of. Like, it's insane. That's like Ducatis, which I don't even know if they were doing them back then. I mean, I'm sure they were, but number 3, we're gonna have to say, honestly, this gauge cluster, like, at first, when I had seen them for the first time, or rode it, I was kind of like, like, it's alright, like, it's whatever. But, like, honestly, like, after I realized that there's a little gauges for, like, once you get up close to red line, that the lights kind of, like, blip on and off, like, it's just, it's great looking. And I'm glad that this is the updated, the 2nd gen body style from the 1st gen, because the 1st gens, I did not like the way that they looked. Like, the gauge just looked old, if that makes sense, which this one kind of does too, but like, they updated it enough to where it's not like stupid, if that makes sense. Like, it's like, but I love the gauge. Now that I've gotten used to it and ridden it, love the way the gauge looks. It's like, everything just sits on it perfectly. It just rides really good. It almost reminds me of the H2, the Ninja H2, because my buddy had one of those, like how it had the it has like the tack and then the square mixed in with it. Like, that's what it kind of reminds me of a little bit, and I like that a lot. But to tie into number 2, actually, with like the way the sound of the bike is, the engine, like, guys, this thing is a 3-cylinder, and it makes the exact same power that any other 600 class sport bike makes with one less cylinder. Like, it's 127 horsepower, like, it's unheard of, like, and I mean, honestly, like, this thing's buttery smooth. Like, the torque on this thing's insane. It's like the highest amount of torque in its class. I'm pretty sure it's got more than a 636. It's nasty. And like the way the power band is, like, there's power everywhere. Like, it's not just all up top like the R6 or anything like that. Like, there's torque at 4,000 RPM, there's torque at 8,000 RPM, and there's torque at 12,000 RPM. Like, it's all over the place. It's all there. Thing I will say, at least now, granted, for the time of year that it is, this is a perk. This is great. This is lovely. It's wonderful. But the fact that my ass gets super hot, this thing's got a built-in heated seat because the way the exhaust is. Anybody that has an undertail exhaust, R1s, bikes like that, Ducatis, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Your ass gets hot. And it's great. In a time of season like this, it's awesome. Like, having a warm butt, it's nice. But in the summertime, oh my god, when you got all that hot leather on, oh my, it's not that good. But honestly, it's a perk. I'm gonna give it a perk because I'd sooner be hot than cold. Final point on this thing, though, I would have to say is going to be the like the community surrounding this bike. Like, this is one of those bikes that's like, I don't know, it's either you know it or you don't know it kind of thing. Like, there's no in between. There's no like, oh well, yeah, I've heard of them. It's like either you know about them or you know nothing about them. Because and that's the good thing about it, is because not a lot of people know about it. So I feel like this bike's very overlooked. The brand as a whole, very overlooked. And it's not like, I don't know the word for it, but like, it's not overpopulated, oversaturated. So like, you got your S1000s. Like, there's so many people with S1000s. Like, I swear that's what all Instagram is S1000, S1000, or like all those crazy bikes. Which, yeah, I understand. And like, I mean, for a while it was like the V2, the Panigale V2. Everyone and their mom had a freaking, or a V4. Like, but I'd have to say that this bike, that's my main reason for liking it, is because it's either you know or you don't know. And the people that do know love it and they support it, and then even the people that don't really support it, like, or know anything about it, like, they're like, oh, that's a good looking bike. Like, I feel like there's no real hate for this bike. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, you know, yeah, it's cool. Which is definitely a perk, I'd say. I mean, it's not a good or a bad thing, because at the end of the day, like, I'm personally going to get what I want to get. I don't give a crap what you think about it. Oh yeah, we got it up. She spun a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna make this in a part 1 and part 2. We're gonna do this obviously was 5 things we liked about the bike, and then we're gonna do 5 things we don't like about the bike. So if you guys enjoyed this type of content and are into the triple madness that is about to occur on this channel, definitely stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in part 2. Peace out, guys. Love y'all.